G'day guys, Jackson Milan, the Wealth Mentor, and as the title says, we've just found out that Grant Cardone is likely to declare bankruptcy. Now, once again, this hasn't been verified. This has come directly from the horse's mouth. Grant Cardone came out and said that he will be declaring bankruptcy off the back of, it's alleged that he has about $1 billion in debt, and I expect that he's probably defaulted on his repayments. So for this reason, he's going to be going into bankruptcy, receivership, and liquidation. Now, we're going to understand why this happened. I think it's extremely important that we use this opportunity to be able to learn from this experience. Now, a little bit of background. So what we know about Grant Cardone, a lot of his recent wealth has been created through property. He's spoken about it on his Facebook Lives and his Instagram Live videos, talking about his real estate investment trust that he created, the property deals that he was doing, the cash flow that was being created by these property portfolios. Now, I mean, it's expected that there's over 8,000 underlying units that are held in both the real estate trust and that he owns personally. Now, what we've got to realize is that property is an illiquid asset. And it doesn't matter if it's residential property, doesn't matter if it's commercial property. Commercial is even more illiquid, but liquidity is a very important consideration when it comes to economic downturns. What do I mean by that? Is that property, by its sheer function, is used by individuals to be able to have a dwelling, whether it be for their home or whether it be for running their business. So if those individuals lose their jobs, their business is affected, they have to shut down, then in turn, there is no capacity for that rent to be paid. If this happens on a broad scale, when we're talking about a recession or some sort of depressionary event, then ultimately it means that there can be mass vacancies and the cash flow shortfalls associated with servicing both the debts and the ongoing commitments for those properties can be in jeopardy. Now, for many investors, we ensure that we have a war chest. A war chest is an emergency fund whereby we have an amount of money put in reserve that allows us to manage those cash flows whilst we're navigating that situation. And the reality is that for most of us, that tendency can sometimes only be a gap of whether it be a number of weeks or a number of months. However, when we've got 8,000 properties and we've got 15 to 20% unemployment, and we've got mass vacancy rates through those properties being held, then the bleeding can be something that we can't hemorrhage. And for that reason, there's a high risk and likelihood of going into default and then being placed into receivership, liquidation, or ultimately going completely bankrupt. Now, from Grant's video, he spoke about all of the properties being sold at 10 cents on the dollar, talking about his Gulfstream jet being sold for $6 million, where he paid $50 million for it. Talking about his condo, which is worth around $10 million, being sold for $2 or $3 million. This is an ultimate fire sale situation. What can we learn from this, guys? Well, we can learn that we need to be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. There's so many of these so-called gurus that have been out there preaching about 10xing and hustling and maximizing their so-called net worth, where they've basically just been riding the wave of the bull market and overextending themselves. And in turn, when there's been an economic downturn, they've been caught completely off guard. They've been too bullish, they've taken too much risk, and they haven't had the appropriate level of coverage to be able to see themselves through. Now, in this kind of situation, when we're dealing with that significant amount of debt, we realize that it's almost impossible to create the appropriate amount of war chest. There's probably very few individuals or even businesses in this world that can create enough of cash flow coverage when we've got $1 billion in debt. That's very, very scary. So we also need to see that this presents a tremendous opportunity. For those of you who have been waiting for opportunities like this provides an opportunity for you to potentially capitalize on these fire sale opportunities. What's really important is that in these times, opportunities are going to present themselves. It may not necessarily be now, but we're going to see them incrementally increase over the course of the next 3, 6, or 12 months. It's extremely important for you as an investor, for you as an entrepreneur, for you as a business owner to use this opportunity to pick the right investments. Don't rush. It's times like this that wealth transfers from the impatient to the patient. And if you are patient, you're able to wait, you're able to use the fundamentals and make objective financial decisions based on the intrinsic value of businesses, property, and shares, then this can be a way for you to magnify your wealth substantially over the course of the coming years. I wouldn't be jumping the gun. Myself personally, I am waiting and to see what happens. I want to see the opportunities that present themselves, because once again, this is not going to be all of these great opportunities coming to market right now. It's about being able to be prepared and have a framework that allows you to assess these opportunities and then be able to make the right decisions off the back of them. So we can learn some really important lessons from this situation. One, be mindful of the amount of risk that you take and be understanding of the repercussions that can be associated with your actions. Two, the danger of debt. Debt is something that an expense that's always going to be there. It is a fixed expense. So even if your income is not there, you still have to pay the bank. So we need to consider that we have the right war chest. So this is a great opportunity for you to reevaluate your war chest. Look at the money that you've got in reserve. Look at the cash flow that you've got and how many months of coverage you may have if your income is being challenged. And this also tells us that we should be ready and waiting for opportunities. Be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. There is going to be tremendous opportunities that come from this situation for those who are prepared, willing, and waiting to take action. So I'm interested to see how this situation unfolds. I'm really interested to see what your insights are around this situation. If you've got any more info around this as it evolves, feel free to chuck it down in the chat. And question to you guys, if looking at this situation, is this something that you saw coming? What are your thoughts on this situation? Do you think this was even ever possible? I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts. So chuck it down in the comments below. I'll look forward to keeping you guys updated with what happens and hopefully give you some more financial principles that help you guide yourselves through these times, help you remove cash flow bottlenecks in your business and turn your business profits into personal wealth. I'm Jackson Millar, the Wealth Mentor. Look forward to chatting to you soon.